Right, in this video I'm going to give you a quick layout of an example IB psychology internal assessment. Now you're probably not going to be able to read the specific text because we don't want to tempt you to try to copy or write things word for word, but use your own words. But this video is just to give you a general idea of the overall format. So we can see in the title page we have a nice clear title, the candidate code here, the group members codes, submission date, and the word count. Then we get straight into the introduction, and notice how you can use, and you should use bold headings to lay out the different parts of your text. So we know there's the introduction, there's the exploration, and then coming up we should have the analysis. The comments in red are my comments as a marker. This is from a previous student of mine. So the black text is the students, and these are my comments on the side. And so we have the introduction here, and this would be where they'll summarize their background, theory, or model. And then they describe the background study, getting into now down in here into the aims, the aims, and then we can see the independent variables and the hypotheses down the bottom here. So everything included in here, the relevance of the aim will be explained. Everything there is in the introduction. And you can see it's okay to use subheadings as well if you like, but that's personal preference. And personally, I like it, but you might not. Then we have the exploration, and again, exploration designed by subheadings into the design, sampling, participants, controls, and materials. And these are all described and then explained, stating what the student did in their exploration, how they did it, and why. Into the analysis, now we can see now a table is not necessary, but it is kind of recommended. Notice how there's no raw data in this report. It's just this group calculated their mean for the control group and the experimental group and their standard deviation. And then here is the paragraph summarizing the results, and it includes the mean and the standard deviation. So it has their results here written in the paragraph. And the graph here, a nice accurate graph that demonstrates the results. Now, if it looks like this graph, there doesn't look like there's much of an effect, that's because there wasn't. And so the graph deliberately doesn't mislead the data, but is quite accurate in representing that. Notice how the graph does not graph raw data. It only calculates the calculated data. So the mean 2.8 and plus 0.8 are calculated here. Then we get into the results of the inferential statistics here. Notice how it says see Appendix D. Anytime the student has mentioned something that might be in the appendices, they just put see Appendix, and they've labeled the appendices A, B, C, D, E. You can label them 1, 2, 3, 4, or use Roman numerals. That's fine. Important when you reference your ethical forms, the consent form and debriefing form, somewhere in your materials here to make sure that the ethical requirements have been followed. Now, another thing to note, the student got a 20 out of 22. Their procedures are not included in the body of the report, but they, because word count was an issue, they were right on the word count limit, so they copied and pasted them. Actually, they didn't even put them anywhere in the body of the report, but because they described everything in detail in their exploration, they were fine. However, I do recommend that you, at least for the first draft, put a list of your procedures here, and then if your word count is an issue, you can put them in the appendices. All right, now, so then we get into the evaluation, and here again they've used subheadings to talk about their discussion, linking it to the background theory or model, and then the evaluation, strengths, limitations, and modifications. References follow that, and then into the appendices, and notice how they've labeled appendices A. This is their consent form. Notice how they've blanked out names to make sure it's completely anonymous. This is their raw data tables, their debriefing email. They've copied the text here, and everything's nice and clearly labeled. Screenshots of their inferential statistics. So this is the calculation that comes from the online calculator, and so in the body of the report you're going to talk about here. They'll talk about their the probability value, the critical value, and they'll talk about their U value, and how that links how all those things are related. So you need to understand how to interpret the results here in this paragraph to figure out, are you retaining or rejecting the null hypothesis. That's important. So the calculated values go into your body of your report, but the calculations go into the appendices. All right, and so here we see the raw data, and these are the calculations here. But then here, these important values down here are the ones that will go, that they interpret. These are the descriptive statistics calculations, although these don't need to be in the report, but the student used a calculator, so they included it. Standardized instructions, these are for the two different conditions. This is the material that they used to measure their dependent variable, which was their the Pinot scale, it measures emotion, and this was the materials they used to manipulate the independent variable, which was the faces. And so you see here, it's important to include in your appendices materials based on manipulation and measuring, right? Just think M&Ms. And that's the same for explaining that in your in the body of your report in the exploration. So just quickly, we can see here we have the title page, introduction, getting into the exploration, the analysis, the evaluation, references, and appendices. Okay, I hope that was helpful.